Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and with permission, I would like to make a statement about the draft Investigatory Powers Bill and our commitment to providing a new law consolidating and updating our investigatory powers,
The UK's new mass surveillance law, the Investigatory Powers Act, which has been dubbed the Snoopers Charter. It's aimed at reinforcing the fight against organised crime and terrorism and gives police and intelligence services unprecedented powers over the population's communications data, as well as to a long list of public services ranging from the Food Standards Agency to the National Health Service and the Department for Work and Pensions. Among the most controversial measures, phone operators and internet service providers may be required to retain the browsing history of all users for a year and make the data available to the police and security services.
The government's Investigatory Powers Bill, the so-called Snoopers Charter, which sets out what security services can find out about people's internet activity, will become law within weeks. Yesterday, it passed through the House of Lords, meaning it just needs a royal assent before it comes into force. Meaning it just needs a royal assent before it comes into force. Well, let's have a look at some of the powers it sets out. They will be able to ask internet providers to help them hack into computers and phones, but only after getting a warrant first. Internet companies will also have to keep your search metadata for a year and hand it on to authorities on request. Again, a warrant will have to be issued first. And those warrants have to be signed by the Home Secretary and an independent judicial commissioner, the double lock.
Well, let's just make one correction on the bit you just did. You mentioned about warrants, the very big warrants for kind of bulk interception and for getting the content of information about terrorists and so on. That is has this double lock, the Home Secretary and judge, the judge having weaker powers in that relationship. But the sort of general data about your phone records and so on, that doesn't get any of this warrantry. It's just simply the police saying to other police officers, yes, you may have this information, and then they go to the companies and get it. But in fact, now they will go through a machine which delivers it. So the companies won't even interact. The companies' databases will simply be queried by police officers and the results will go to the police. And that's pretty shocking. I mean, it basically means no independent authorization whatsoever.
But in terms of what they can glean from that information, hack into computers and phones, but only after getting a warrant first. Also have to keep your search metadata for a year and hand it on to authorities on request. Again, a warrant will have to be issued first.
But that presupposes prior suspicion, doesn't it? And don't events of the last 10 or 15 years suggest that so-called sort of clean skins get below the radar? And what this does is allow the agencies to pursue people or be flagged up about people who haven't actually been on the sort of security radar before.
And how are you going to find them in 60 million people? That just doesn't work. I mean, it's a sort of Tom Cruise film script, not a reality.
I mean, the Prime Minister has said, well, it's just the modern day equivalent of an itemised phone bill. They might be able to see that you've been looking at Facebook, for example, but they can't see the content of the chat that you might have been having. And Theresa May says privacy is hardwired into this bill.
Yeah, I think that's a sort of nonsense representation.
Queen. There is the Prime Minister, Theresa May. She will host the next Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, or CHOGM as it's known, next year. in the UK, and at that time she'll take over as Chair in Office of the Commonwealth.
This is GCHQ's listening station in Bude, Cornwall. It's from here that British intelligence monitors the world's internet traffic.
GCHQ has probably the most invasive network intercept program anywhere in the world, and it's the world's first full take, they call it, and that means content in addition to metadata on everything.
The cable stretches from Asia through the Middle East and lands at Porthcurno. Reliance's transatlantic cable lands in Sennen Cove, 6 miles north, and the two cables come together here, Skewjack Farm. Documents show that in 2011, this allowed Britain's spies to access all traffic from Reliance's main cable and send it to the GCHQ base up the coast in Bude.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I want to swear by the oath here. I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, her heirs and successors according to law, so help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth,
to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, her heirs and successors according to law, so help me God.
63 army recruits took an oath of allegiance to the Queen at Birmingham City Hall today, the first step in their military careers.
I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
A military career begins with an oath to the Queen and ends up here, or somewhere like it.
The Prime Minister designate will please come forward to be sworn in. Le Premier ministre désigné est prié de s'avancer pour prêter serment. Monsieur Justin J.P. Trudeau. Mr. Justin J.P. Trudeau.
Moi, Justin P.J. Trudeau, je jure fidélité et sincère allégeance à Sa Majesté la Reine Elizabeth II, Reine du Canada, à ses héritiers et successeurs, ainsi Dieu me soit en aide. I, Justin P.J. Trudeau, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Canada, her heirs and successors, so help me God. I, Justin P.J. Trudeau, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I shall be a true and faithful servant to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II as a member of Her Majesty's Privy Council for Canada. I shall keep secret all matters committed and revealed to me in this capacity or that shall be secretly treated of in Council. Generally, in all things, I shall do as a faithful and true servant ought to do for Her Majesty, so help me God.
Sonali Shah is joined now by the first female Secretary-General, Baroness Scotland, who, as you would expect, is playing a significant role in today's proceedings.
Good afternoon, Rita. Yes, Patricia Scotland made history last year by becoming the 6th Secretary-General. And I know, Secretary-General, you have referred to yourself as a classic child of the Caribbean. How did that background prepare you for this role?
Well, of course, because I've always been a child of the Commonwealth. I've got an Antiguan father, a Dominican mother. I was born in Dominica, but I grew up in the United Kingdom. Classic Commonwealth territory. And it makes me so proud now to be here as Secretary-General, head of the Secretariat, and serving all 52 countries in our Commonwealth and 2.4 billion people.
Well, we heard a little earlier from Baroness Scotland, the Secretary-General of the Commonwealth. She's also a trustee of the Queen Elizabeth Diamond Jubilee Trust. The trust was established in 2012 to support those in need across the Commonwealth, and one of its principal aims is to eliminate avoidable blindness. We spoke to the vice patron of the charity, the Countess of Wessex, to hear about the impact this project has had across the Commonwealth.
Cadê o bonjour? Olá. And for our Prime Minister, who savent tout moun vle bay mépouy. Yo bay, mwen ka di yo sous se sel, sous se sel, sous se sel.
Well, I'm joined now by the Labour peer and the international coordinator of the Dominica relief effort, where Storm Erika has just hit. That's Baroness Scotland. Good evening to you. And we heard there that El Niño is being held accountable for torrential rain. How has Tropical Storm Erika affected the island of Dominica?
Well, it's absolutely devastated.
Of Wessex to hear about the impact this project has had across the Commonwealth.
80% of the world's blind population are living in developing countries, and many of those countries are Commonwealth countries. The work of the Trust is profound. The goal is to eliminate avoidable blindness. The Trachoma initiative in Malawi has been having unbelievable success rates. Trachoma is basically a bacteria which gets into the eye. It's a horrible condition. Trachoma is basically a bacteria which gets into the eye. It's a horrible condition.
Trachoma affects people of all ages. You normally find it in rural areas.
First of the royal arrivals this afternoon, the Earl of Wessex, Prince Edward, the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, and Prince Harry, all coming in.
Buckingham Palace has stepped up its denials that Prince Andrew had sex with an underage girl. It's gone as far as to name the alleged victim, according to Britain's Sunday papers. The palace had already denied the accusations, which came out in court documents filed in Florida. They allege a disgraced American financier, Jeffrey Epstein, forced the girl, ID'd by the palace as Virginia Roberts, to have sex with the Duke of York in New York and London, as well as on a private Caribbean island that was part of an orgy with other underage girls.
Filing reads in part, Epstein instructed Jane Doe number 3 that she was to give the prince whatever he demanded and required Jane Doe number 3 to report back to him on the details of the sexual abuse.
And shaking hands with people in the receiving line. All of them are active participants in the life of the Commonwealth. Prince Harry, of course, visited 7 Commonwealth countries of the Caribbean in November last year, representing the Queen, his grandmother.
There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal.
Next up, Prince Harry is sparking royal wedding fever. Over the weekend, he and his girlfriend, actress Meghan Markle, spotted at his best friend's wedding in Jamaica. A lot of people are now wondering if they will be next to walk down the aisle. ABC News royal contributor Robert Jobson joins us from Buckingham Palace. And so tell us, what is the word on the street there, Robert?
Well, they've certainly got tongues wagging, and really the fact is they look very, very happy together. They've been going out for quite some months now, and she's been staying at his apartment in Kensington Palace. Yeah, there's a few traditionalists out there are causing a little, critics in the newspapers saying really because she's a divorcee, because maybe her profession's not suitable for a royal bride. That she's not the right type. But things have moved on really in that respect from the times of 1955.
And people seem pretty confident. Bookies are taking bets on just about everything, aren't they, Robert?
Yeah, they're taking bets on pretty much everything, including what title she would have and what title he would have. She would immediately, if they got married, she would be a princess, so she would be Princess Henry of Wales. But the Queen would probably give him a title, a royal duke, like she did with Prince William, and made him the Duke of Cambridge. The bets are that he's either going to be the Duke of Clarence or the Duke of Sussex, meaning that Meghan will be the Duchess of Clarence or the Duchess of Sussex. So it's looking pretty strong at the moment. I think a lot of people are thinking this is going to happen.
Queen has sent me here as a carrier pigeon to deliver a message to you from her. Prince Philip and I send our warmest wishes to the government and the people of Barbados on the occasion of your 50th anniversary of independence.
And Barbadian superstar Rihanna.
Morning, everyone. Harry's fine.
Harry's fine.
Yeah.
Harry.
Yeah.
What's your surname?
Wales. You don't even feel it's like a little pinprick. Doesn't matter how many times you do it, it's still.
Let's go.
It is. It's another thing to do.
Coming up. Want another one?
No. One is fine.
Not bad. You really made this. You made it feel like it.
It's a pinprick. I said it was a pinprick.
He sent his security, just showed up at my place and dragged me out of bed, and here I am.
No, we had a conversation last night about it. It was, we knew we were going to meet each other last night before the concert, and as I said, she's got such an incredible reach and so respected across millions and millions of people, especially across America, that it's just an opportunity that I think anybody in my position would have asked her to do it. It's just an opportunity that I think anybody in my position would have asked her to do it.
He sent his security, just showed up at my place and dragged me out of bed, and here I am.
Prince Harry's actress girlfriend Meghan Markle has hopped a plane out of Hollywood, so that's got everybody asking, is Meghan headed for a romantic royal rendezvous?
There's a lot of speculation that Meghan is sneaking off to Barbados to reunite with her guy, Prince Harry. Right now, the prince is on day 11 of his 2-week tour of the Caribbean, and it's a big one. Rihanna met the prince today at an event marking Barbados' independence, the meeting just ahead of a huge concert. While it looks like Meghan's royal romance is boosting her career.
I love you too.
This is the just-released trailer for a recut of the British film Antisocial. It makes its U.S. debut in January. Meghan plays a high-fashion model in the film, which explores the world of jewelry thieves.
Brother was just arrested for allegedly putting a gun to his girlfriend's head.
Male subject inside the house held a gun to female's head, locked her in the bathroom.
Now, Tom Markle Jr. is speaking exclusively to Inside Edition from Oregon.
You allegedly put a gun to her head. Is that true?
Absolutely not. There was a gun there. There was a gun there in the house, and my attorney, I can't really get into it.
Tom Markle has the same father as Meghan, but a different mother. Flash forward to this new photo, which shows Meghan the other day buying flowers in rainy London. On her finger, a ring with an H design.
So, relatively quickly, is that William? No. Yes. Yes, there he is.
It is. There he is.
Now he's got... Oh.
And Princess Charlotte, Catherine and Prince George there.
Got that wrong. No red in sight.
All blue.
Royal blue.
Royal blue.
I couldn't be cuter, Prince George. And Princess Charlotte with the beret in her hair. I mean, really cute. You're proud here, as you predicted, Chris. Very happy about She's grown quite a lot. You did grow up too fast. Well, they certainly gave the Canadian
public what they were hoping for. The money shot, as we call it sometimes in the industry, stepping off the plane, children very close to them. Charlotte in Catherine's arms, and now the greeting from the Governor General, David Johnston, and his wife Sharon. And a Sea King perfectly dropping into the background there.
George distracted by the Sea King too. That's what Daddy flies.
Yeah. He's yawning already. He's bored.
Well,
He's bored, Bridget, but he's getting jet lag, poor little George there.
It is midnight where they're from.
Now, after a transatlantic flight, I do not look that good.
I sympathise with him there. He's saying, how much more of this?
Oh, he's doing well.
Now,
and I'm sure he's getting used to it, I'm sure, too.
Yeah. Is it a coincidence that's the shade that Sophie, Gregoire Trudeau, is wearing is so similar to the shade that it's purple and blue, certainly in the same color spectrum? They wouldn't have talked about this, would they?
I don't think they would have talked about it, no. I mean, it's possible, I suppose, but I am surprised she's not wearing red, I must admit. I thought she would, but I'm sure we'll see many red outfits throughout the tour. But they're very well coordinated, aren't they? With all in blue, with George in blue there as well. I've seen him in a similar outfit to that before. It seems to like the long socks rather than short socks for some reason.
Moi, Justin P.J. Trudeau, je jure fidélité et sincère allégeance à Sa Majesté la Reine Elizabeth II, Reine du Canada, à ses héritiers et successeurs. Ainsi Dieu me soit en aide.
Carefully. And there's the prince. And Catherine.
Being greeted by the Governor General and his wife, and I've just been told that the Duchess of Cambridge is wearing a dress by Jenny Packham.
Oh, that's one of her favourites.
Okay.
Yeah, so she started off with a British designer, and I'm sure she's going to wear quite a few outfits by Canadian designers as well during the trip. Then with 50 or 60 outfits to get through, so.
She's got some to choose from. Her hat is apparently by Lock & Co.
Yeah.
And she's wearing a Queen's maple leaf brooch.
She's looking very, very, you know, I have to say there have been a few worries recently. She's getting a little bit too thin. And there have been some concerns expressed. Obviously, the last thing on earth we want is a repeat of the problems that Princess Diana had with her eating disorders. I don't think for one moment that Kate has, but...
Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, gave her first public address as a royal today. It's an anxious rite of passage for a new royal. 30 years ago, it was Princess Diana. 2 women, 2 speeches, and 2 destinies.
Comparisons between Princess Diana's wedding and Kate Middleton's upcoming nuptials increasing. So we wanted to take a closer look at exactly how Diana's legacy will impact both Kate's marriage and the monarchy.
The moment we've been waiting for, William and Kate touring the monument of love, the Taj Mahal, sitting on that iconic bench just as Diana did 24 years ago.
After being seen partying in the Alps on a boys-only ski trip featuring cringe-worthy dad dancing, facing criticism for shirking his royal duties. But while the visit may be about Britain's future, the City of Light will forever hold a darkened past for Prince William. It was 20 years ago this August. Princess Diana and companion Dodi Fayed had been dining at the Ritz when it came time to leave.
That night, this area in front of the Ritz was packed with paparazzi, so they tried to slip out the back, but the paparazzi were waiting there too. Driver Henri Paul, under the influence of alcohol and prescription drugs, sped off in a bid to outrun them.
He lost control and slammed into a pillar in this underpass. Dodi Fayed and Henri Paul died at the scene. Diana later suffered a cardiac arrest at the hospital.
I think it will look better without the crown. Less dressy, because the garter robe is so extraordinary. Dressy. What do you think this is? Dressy. What do you think this is? It will look better without the crown. Less dressy.
This evening, it was the lead story, in part because it was the BBC, but also because an American would be so bold as to ask the Queen to remove her crown.
As the Queen celebrates her 90th birthday, it seems the love and loyalty between Queen and Corgi remains. From young princess to longest reigning monarch, her Corgis have been constant companions.
The Queen, I would say, is unsurpassed amongst any client that I've had in my 35 years of animal behaviour practice. She's the best, exerting friendly, authoritative control over each and every one of the dogs that I saw, and that was a few years ago.
All do have free reign of the palace, but the Queen is said to be quick at pulling them into line.
Every dog is individually assigned a role and would obey her separately from the rest of the group. So she could call them forward one at a time. So she shows exceptional, good training regimes and, if you like, psychological control over her dogs.
It is a celebration without precedent, a spectacular gun salute for the record-breaking monarch, honouring yet another unique milestone passed. Her reign has exceeded any in history, and it continues.
She even dwarfs the great Elizabeth I. I mean, her reign is remarkable. I mean, the sorts of events that she's seen throughout her life, I mean, really anything that happened post, Second World War, she's been at the heart of it.
To mark the Sapphire anniversary, this David Bailey portrait of the Queen has been reissued. In it, she is wearing her sapphire jewellery. The collection, worn over the years, has huge sentimental value, as it was started with a gift from her father. Unlike the Diamond Jubilee of 2012, there will be no major public events and national celebrations to mark this Sapphire anniversary. The next would be the Platinum Jubilee in 2022.
And on behalf of the whole country, I am proud to offer Her Majesty our humble thanks for a lifetime of extraordinary service. Long may she continue to reign over us all.